Hello everybody and welcome back to the Backlog channel. I wanted to just sit down, not really plan out anything I was gonna say based on this topic, just kind of spitball my thoughts as they come to me. I've recently been thinking about, obviously, the Switch 2 that is going to have its big Nintendo Direct in about 2 weeks. It's kind of hard to not think about because it's such a big deal. With that, I've also been thinking about some games that are going to come and not only be shown in the Direct, but just come later on in the Switch's lifespan as well. Some of those games, they include Smash 6, which I'll talk about in a separate video. Probably will come out after this video. And then I've also really been thinking about Zelda and how the series for Zelda is just going to move forward into the future. Now, in my video where I talked about how I think they're going to do the Switch 2 Direct, in the end I said I thought they'd show off a tiny little teaser for the new Zelda game, and I still stick by that, but I do not know in any way. I have no clue of how this game is going to be, because if you really think about it, the last true Zelda game that we got that was not an open world experience, the new kind of Zelda formula, it was in 2010. That was 15 years ago. We haven't gotten a mainline Zelda experience in 15 years. OG Zelda experience, dungeon exploring, go around the map, solve the puzzles, stuff like that. We haven't had that in a while. So, it's been a while. Do I think that it's gonna go back to that? Well, I mean, the creator of Zelda did say that there's gonna be no open world games going forward. The kind of Breath of the Wild formula of Zelda. He said no more of that. Tears of the Kingdom is the end of it. Does that mean that the Zelda games will return to form, going back to their roots, just going around the town of Hyrule, and the town of Hateno Village, and the town of Lon Lon Ranch, and just old stuff like that? Are they going to bring back the just basic formula of Zelda, run around, do the puzzles that are kind of make it a very much linear game again that so many people are begging for? They are begging for the old Zelda formula. Will they get what they want? Now that we do know that there's going to be no open world games, but does that mean there's going to be a return to form? I think it's a 50-50. I could see them just doing the same old, but obviously it's going to be a lot less impressive, going from the old formula to a new formula in Breath of the Wild, and staying with that new formula, keeping people on their toes, not knowing what's going to happen, and then just returning back to old Zelda, like that evolution and the new way Zelda runs just never existed. Pretend like those two bumps in the log never existed. It goes it goes Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then I guess Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but let's forget about those and go back to this new Zelda, which is exactly like the old. Like, I don't know. I mean, it would be as good as any other Zelda game if they do it right. Obviously, people bought them since 1986 up until 2010. I mean, it always worked. It would work now. If this is the case, and it's not a new style of Zelda adventure, what does the game look like? Because in all of Zelda history, there's never been one game besides a few exceptions, there's never been one game that's looked exactly like another. The first game, obviously. The second game, on the same console. Very limited console. Very different looking games. Third game, new console. Same idea. Literally exact same idea, but just better. And it looked completely different. Fourth game, the one on the Game Boy, was the most limited, yet it looked the arguably coolest and most different from any of the other games. Ocarina of Time, obviously 3D. Here's where it hits different. Majora's Mask looked exactly like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and played exactly like it. Same with Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. And same with the, the two Game Boy Color games. I'm trying to remember what the name of those were. You know what I'm talking about. It's slipping my mind at the moment. But there's been a few exceptions. Then there was Wind Waker on the GameCube, which I'll talk about in a second. Twilight Princess was supposed to come out on just the GameCube. Ended up coming out on the Wii, but it is truly just a GameCube game that also got ported to the Wii a few days before the GameCube game came out. So if you think about it, the original way it was supposed to be, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are the most different looking games you can possibly think of in the Zelda series. One's very gritty, one's edgy, and then the other is Wind Waker, the complete opposite. And then there was Skyward Sword, looked kind of like Twilight Princess, but it had its own cartoon, hazy feeling to it, so that was different too. I think playing on Wind Waker, its style, but not copying it, just taking elements from it, and making that the new Zelda game's aesthetic. Going away from kind of gritty and realistic. I mean, even Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom had the very realistic, maybe not gritty, but realistic look to it. I say, try playful again. It didn't work back in the day for Wind Waker because of the time it came out. But I think people would be a lot more accepting of a kind of cutesy, more playful Zelda style. That might just be me talking, but I think a lot of people would agree with that, and I think that would be a way they would try to go. Because if you ask anyone now about Wind Waker, one of the first things you think of is how people hated it. Absolutely hated it when it first came out. But now, Wind Waker has definitely grown a reputation that it didn't previously have. People absolutely love the game. People like Peanut Butter Gamer. Just a random example throw out there. Peanut Butter Gamer. It's his favorite Zelda game. You know what his favorite Zelda game was before? Majora's Mask. And now has been overtaken by the cutie, stupid little style Wind Waker game. That's how good the game is. Not because of the style, even though it does look really nice with the shell shading and stuff. It's just the game. It carries. It's such a good game. And I think people would be a lot more receptive to getting something like that as our next Zelda game. I think it would be a drop off. They'd have to make it a lot bigger and longer and huge of an adventure for it to live up to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which is really hard to do at this point. They've really backed themselves into a corner. But I think it is possible. It can be done. And it has been done before. So, yeah, honestly, that's my only thoughts. I'm really curious how they're going to move the Zelda series going forward. And I really have learned to grow and love the new Zelda franchise on the Switch specifically. I guess you can technically consider Breath of the Wild a Wii U game over a Switch game. But just look at the numbers. Like, it's a Switch game. And I've really grown to love the Switch formula of Zelda. It's going to be hard to, like, see it go after only just 2 games. But, I mean, it's practically confirmed that it's going to be gone. Thank you everybody so much for watching. and see you in the next Backlogs video.